Hello guys, good afternoon and welcome again to my segment. My name is Darrell and today we are going to have a new topic about grammar, and this time we will talk about reduced relative clauses. So a long time ago, I believe it was last week, I talked about different kinds of relative pronouns, right? And these pronouns like who, which, or what, and sometimes it's connected with different kind of words to make it into a clause. And remember, relative pronouns are commonly pronouns, or sometimes relative clauses are somehow those words are describing an object, or sometimes also it might be a subject in a sentence. So this time we will try to dwell more how to do reduce relative clauses in our sentence, and yeah, I think we're ready now. So this time let's start to talk about reduced relative clauses. Mhm. Okay. Oops. Okay, so here, what is reduced relative clause? So when we say reduced relative clauses, it refers to the shortening of a relative clause which modifies the subject of a sentence. So remember, this kind of reduced relative clauses can be only used when the clause is modifying or somehow is referring to the subject of the sentence. That's why if this clause or tip clause is trying to describe about the subject, then it's possible that we can reduce this sentence, this clause into a reduced form. So commonly, the reduced relative clauses modify the subject and not the object of a sentence. Yes, commonly, whenever we see relative clauses, they usually reduce or describe about the subject. But in some cases, some of the relative clauses are describing only the object. Okay, so that's why there's the difficulty here in having the reduction of relative clauses. So just try to put in mind that whenever we want to do reduced relative clauses, then we need to make sure that this clause is describing the subject, not the object itself. That's why you need to be careful trying to do this kind of rule. And also, much like adjectives, relative clauses, also known as adjective clauses. So also you can call them adjective clauses. Why? Because they modify or describe the noun. That's why we can also call them as adjective clauses. So don't be confused about when you say reduced relative, when you say relative clauses and when you say adjective clauses, somehow they are the same because they modify the noun of the sentence. The noun can be both the subject and the object of the sentence. Okay, here we have example sentence. The man who works at Costco lives in Seattle. Now, as you notice here, in our sentence, we have the word who, the clause who works at Costco. So, in this relative clause, it describes the man, and the man it belongs to the subject, and the man, of course, is a noun, right? So, the man who works at Costco lives in Seattle. So as you notice, these are really simple form of relative clause. And then we have another sentence here. I give a book. Now we have here comma. Okay, as you notice, we have the comma in this sentence, comma, which was written by Hemingway to Mary last week. So in our relative clause here, we have which was written by Hemingway. This is your uh, relative clause. And here, comma, comma, okay, to Mary last week. So is it notice why do we need to put comma here? But in the first part, there's no comma. Okay, there's a simple rule with that one. So if 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 it is describing the subject, okay, then maybe we need to put the comma after when we use the relative clause. Or if you think that the relative clause is important in the sentence, and it does not interrupt the flow of your speech whenever you want to read or speak a sentence somehow. So it means we can say that this is really important, so we don't need to put comma there. But here on the second sentence, I give a book. This book here belongs to the noun of the sentence, or the object I mean. So for this word book, we have the clause which was written by Hemingway. So somehow this clause or relative clause is describing about the book, not the subject. Okay, I. But the book, and the book here in the sentence is a noun. I mean an object. That's why somehow, if that's the case, then maybe we can put comma. We can place comma there. Okay, uh, after the object. And also, you can put comma for between the clauses if you think that the clause interrupts your flow of speech, then it is necessary to include comma between these clauses. Okay, so anyway, so here for example, now this time we will try to reduce this clause. Remember we have the first sentence, the man who works at Costco lives in Seattle. So this one, it is possible to be reduced because it's kind of easy and it follows a format. So if you try to get a reduced form, you can say the man working at Costco lives in Seattle. For the word who works at Costco becomes now working at Costco. So if you notice, from simple present, it becomes like a past form. We use verb ing the sentence, and it is now called a reduced relative clause. Okay, so later I will try to discuss more how to properly reduce the clauses in the following procedures, because I will give you some more examples and rules on how to reduce the relative clause in your sentence. However, on our next example, we have I gave a book which was written by Hemingway to Mary last week. Now if you have this kind of sentence, this one cannot be reduced. Why? Because commonly, the word book here, it is the object of the sentence. So it means it is all describing the object, not the subject itself. So that's why, to be safe, I believe, we can only reduce relative clause when it is describing the subject itself. But if it's a noun, somehow it is kind of difficult to reduce it. That's why, to be safe, just try to think that if the clause is describing the relative clause is describing the subject, then it's possible to reduce it. But if it's describing the object, then maybe need to have a second thought if you want to reduce it or not. Okay. Now here, how to properly reduce a relative clause. So there are many ways on how to reduce them in one sentence. So it depends upon the pattern, it depends upon the part of speech that you can find inside the clause, and we will try to find more here. Now, first one, we can reduce the relative clause into an adjective. So here from the clause like WH, any clause of relative clauses that starts with WH, we can also reduce that into an adjective form. So here there is the procedure. First, okay, remember, for this number one, first you need to remove the relative pronoun. Okay, remember, our relative pronouns are who, whose, which, that, and any kind of relative pronouns in our sentence. And if you want to reduce the clause to an adjective, then we need to remove first the relative pronoun of the relative clause. Then second, remove the verb. Oh, okay. So usually be but also seen appear. So commonly to our adjective for our clause, somehow there's like the WH and followed by be verb or be form. But also we can use any kind of sense verbs like seem, appear, look in our sentence. And yeah, we need to remove the relative clause, and we need to remove also the be verb of the sentence. And then place the adjective used in the relative clause before the modified noun. So remember in our clause somehow there's like WH or take pronoun followed by be form and followed by adjective. So now we remove our WH clauses, the WH pronoun, relative pronoun, then followed by be form, and then what is left is your adjective. So we need to transfer the adjective before the noun that it modifies. For example, here we have the children who were happy. Who were happy played until 9 in the evening. So if you notice here, our relative clause is who were happy, right? And our relative pronoun is who. We have the be verb here, were, and then we have adjective happy. So in our previous procedure, we need to remove first our who in our sentence. So we can remove who here. And also we need to remove our be form the verb. Remove were. What's left now is happy. Now what happens here? We need to also transfer the happy before the noun that it modifies. So in this sentence, it modifies the noun or the subject children. So it means put the word happy before the children. So the reduced adjective clause is the happy children played until 9 in the evening. So this one's quite easy, right? Okay, here we have for the number 2 example. The house, which was beautiful, was sold for $300,000. Now again, our relative pronoun here is which, our be verb here is was, and our adjective here is beautiful. So this consists our relative clause in this sentence. Now remember, remove the relative pronoun, remove the be verb, and the adjective that was left should be moved before the noun that it modifies. So here, it modifies the word house. It means we need to put the word beautiful before the word house. So for the reduced form, we can say the beautiful house was sold for $300,000. Oh, this one's quite easy, right? Okay, for adjective, to make it into adjective. How about if we have another process into how to make it into an adjective phrase? Again, so when we say phrase, it means that this sentence has a subject and maybe it also has a verb, but somehow this sentence cannot stand by itself. That's why we call it phrase. But when you say clause, no, when you say phrase, I think it has no idea. It's like the idea there is somehow it's not yet really complete. But when you say clause, yeah, for clause, it is obvious that we can find the subject and the verb in the sentence, but somehow there's two kinds of clauses again. Can you remember? In our two kinds of clauses, we have dependent clause and independent clause. So again, when we say independent clause, this clause can stand by itself. However, when we say dependent clause, this clause cannot stand by itself. It means it needs the independent clause in the sentence to have it in order to make it stand by itself in the sentence. So that's why we have clause. For clause, it has subject and verb, but for phrase, somehow it's only a phrase. We can see complete subject, we can see complete verb. Sometimes it starts with preposition, sometimes with other form. So that's why we call it phrase. Now here, how to reduce the relative clause to an adjective phrase? First one, you need to remove the relative pronoun. Okay, again, our relative pronoun is who, which, what, those. Okay, those are our pronouns. And then remove the verb again. So the verb here usually is be form. And but also we can also use seem or appear, and we can also remove that in our sentence. And for number three, place the adjective phrase after the modified noun. So here remember, to reduce the adjective clause to an adjective, somehow we need to put the adjective before the noun that it modifies. But for the adjective phrase, we need to place the adjective phrase itself after the noun that it modifies. So somehow it has a different rule. Okay, that's why you should not be confused about its one. So remember, if you want to reduce the relative clause into an adjective, put the remaining adjective before the noun that it modifies. And if you want to reduce the relative clause into an adjective phrase, then you need to place the adjective phrase after the noun that it modifies. So somehow it's kind of opposite. Okay, for example, sentence: the boy who was pleased by his grades went out with his friends to celebrate. Now in this sentence, we have our clause here is who was pleased by his grades. So we have, now remember, for our adjective phrase, we need to remove first our relative pronoun, and in this sentence it is who, and then our be form, our be verb, here is was. So what is left is pleased by his grades. Now remember, we need to place the remaining phrase or words after the noun that it modifies. So the reduced form is the boy, then try to put comma here, okay, to make it safe. The boy, pleased by his grades, went out with his friends to celebrate. So this one's kind of easy, right? Okay, and even though we had the word please here as adjective, but somehow we had more words like by his grades. So this one is called now a phrase. But if it's only please in our sentence, then we can only call this one as adjective. But when we say pleased by his grades, this is an adjective praise. Okay. Another example, the product, then we have comma, which seemed perfect in many ways, comma here again, failed to succeed in the market. So our relative clause here is which seemed perfect in many ways. And we have comma here between these clauses, between this clause, and this clause is describing the subject, and the subject is the product, and is a noun. Okay, now again, remove the relative pronoun, and in this sentence it is which, and then also remove the be verb, but in a way we don't have be verb here. Instead, we only have sense verb in our sentence, and it is seemed. So also in our previous rule, we need to remove also the sense verb to make it into a reduced form of the clause. So remove which, remove seemed, and then what is left is perfect in many ways. Try to place that after the noun that it modifies, and the noun is product. So the reduced form here is the product, comma, perfect in many ways, comma, failed to succeed in the market. Okay, so that's for reducing the relative clause to an adjective phrase. So in this kind of sentence, on the previous examples, we can see that the relative clauses contain adjectives in a sentence. That's why we can reduce them into adjective only, and we can also reduce it into adjective phrase in our sentence. Okay. Oh, so anyway, we have, okay, I will only discuss until here. I will continue the next lesson on our next topic tomorrow. But okay, because I will give you more ideas how to properly reduce relative clauses. So here we have reduced to our prepositional phrase. Again, so when we say prepositional phrase or preposition, so this preposition it is it includes in, on, at, under in our sentence. We call them preposition. But when you say prepositional phrase, it is a group of words that starts with preposition. Okay, like by the water, under the table. Okay, we call it one as prepositional phrase. Now, how do we reduce the relative clause to into a prepositional phrase? First, you need to remove the relative pronoun. Okay, again, so commonly, generally, whenever we want to reduce the relative clause, we always remove the relative pronoun in our clause. And for number two, remove the verb be. Also, generally, also be is being removed as well. And then place the prepositional phrase after the modified noun. So it's the same rule also with the adjective phrase. So the remaining words or phrase are placed after the noun that it modifies. Here, for example, the box, comma, which was on the table was made in Italy. So our relative clause here is which was on the table, and this clause somehow modifies the box in our sentence. And we want to reduce this into a prepositional phrase. So we need to remove which there. Also we need to remove was in our sentence. And then what the phrase or words remaining are on the table. So we need to place the remaining words after the noun that it modifies. So the reduced form is the box on the table was made in Italy. So this one's kind of easy, right? And for the second example, the woman who was at the meeting spoke about business in Europe. Now, of course, our clause here is who, and our be verb here, our relative pronoun here is who, our be form is was in our sentence, and it also consists, and the complete clause is who was at the meeting. Now we want to reduce this to our prepositional phrase. Remove who, remove was, and reduce form is the woman at the meeting spoke about business in Europe. So this is kind of easy, right? Okay. So tomorrow I will try to discuss more or continue this topic, because tomorrow we will try to reduce the relative clause to a past participle. Okay. So I believe I'm going to end from here. So the part 2 of my topic will be discussed tomorrow, and I will continue it. Okay, I hope you learned something, even though it's my topic's only halfway of my segment. So I hope you you will view me again tomorrow, and I hope you learned something, just a little bit about reduced unitive clauses. Okay, and the other half will be continued tomorrow. Okay, so I believe that's all for today. Thank you so much, guys, and see you again tomorrow for my continuation of my topic. Okay, bye bye, take care.